Week 8 of the NFL season is here, and we are ready to preview the Carolina Panthers and the Buffalo Bills. Let's go.
Brace yourself for the ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls, One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. Late night recording, almost 11 o'clock Wednesday night as we get prepared to get you guys prepared for the game. We're going to try to make this as fast and efficient as possible. I say that every time. Trying to get it in 30 minutes. My guess, 35 to 40 minutes, but we're going to do our best to stay within the time frame. The only way that I can stay within the time frame is getting right into it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and do that, folks. Now, I don't know why this copied over so weird when I pulled this in. But anyways, Panthers, Bills, Week 8. We're going to get you caught up on every storyline going into this game. Biggest storyline by far is the status of Bryce Young. Are we going to see Bryce Young this week? We're going to find out. He's day-to-day. We just got through the first day of practice on Wednesday. He did not participate. He was working to the side. Everyone that was there from the Carolina beat said that he did not have a noticeable limp. He was on the bike machine. He was, working on some throwing, some light work. Dave Canales did confirm, he's got to be able to do everything that you need to do as a quarterback to be successful. So we'll find out. We'll monitor this as we go. It feels like with Dave Canales calling this day-to-day and seeing the progress so far, you never know what could happen. But let's go ahead and get this show on the road, shall we, Carolina Panthers fans? And welcome in Buffalo Bills fans, as always. Let's actually tweak this for those that are watching this live. How about that? A little bit easier to view. Taking a look at the Carolina Panthers staff, we have abbreviated this for folks that have been used to the first 7 previews that we've done this season. Appreciate you guys tuning in, as you always do. We had every coach listed. We're taking the same model that we do for the opposing team, listing the head coach, Dave Canales, Brad Isaac, your offensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero, defensive coordinator, and special teams coordinator, Tracy Smith. Really good production out of Ejiro Evero over the past few games during this win streak. Same thing with Tracy Smith, special teams coordinator. You go from Ryan Fitzgerald, NFC special teams player of the week, to Sam Martin, the punter special teams player of the week. Take that every single day, man. So really good performances out of those. Dave Canales figuring it out as a head coach. We know folks here in Carolina had their doubts even earlier this year. Guaranteed the change was going to happen. Folks were upset and mad. I said, let's just let this thing play out. Now, it doesn't get easier for the Carolina Panthers. No doubt about it. So we're going to really find out who this team is over the next couple of weeks. I think these next 2 games, if they're competitive, I know you don't have Bryce Young probably in this one, but if they're competitive enough with Andy Dalton leaning into the run game, which I think has to be how you push forward, there's a chance, man. Of course, you hope to have Bryce back for Green Bay and see where the dust settles as we come out of it. Now, it was funny. I tweeted this out as we were previewing the Buffalo Bills, and I put together this slide. Everyone knows Sean McDermott. Everyone knows Joe Brady. How about Chris Tabor? Everyone knows Chris Tabor, or should know Chris Tabor if you're a Panthers fan. 75% of the Buffalo Bills core staff, your coordinators and head coach, former Carolina Panthers ties. We joke about them being Buffalo or Carolina North in the Buffalo Bills. We see it a lot with the players that used to go up there during this time, and it made sense with Sean McDermott there. But yeah, Joe Brady, OC, Chris Tabor running special teams. I like Chris Tabor as a special teams coach. I really do. So good for those guys there. Now, kicking this thing off at Bank of America Stadium, 1 o'clock kickoff. Last which we'll get into the games for both of these teams. So I'll actually pause there for a second. But the Buffalo Bills lead the all-time series 6-2. They have won 3 of the last 4 games. Sean McDermott, very good head coach, 90-47 overall record, which is about 65, almost 66% win percentage. He's 7-7 in the postseason. I know if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, it's just like, how do you get over the hump? Trying to get to a Super Bowl. Now, they've got a 2-game skid going on right now. Coming off of a bye, Josh Allen has never lost 3 consecutive games in a row during his time as a quarterback in the NFL, which is quite an impressive stat. Again, you have the bye to prepare. So I think we're going to get a focused Buffalo Bills team. But I saw Derek Brown in the locker room scrum talking about the fact that a lot of people think of the Carolina Panthers, maybe in the way it's thought about the Jets this past week, is a cakewalk, an easy opponent, game that you know you're going to win. I don't know that people are going to take the Carolina Panthers lightly or that the Bills will, but I don't know. See coming into it. Dave Canales, 9-15 overall record in his second season, about a 37, almost 38% win percentage. We know he hasn't made the playoffs. The last meeting between these teams was back in 2021. Buffalo won 31-14. If you're interested in referees, head referee is going to be Craig Rolstad. So there you have it. We talked about the Buffalo Bills leading the all-time series. I don't know why. See, I removed the backgrounds on these images, but for whatever reason, it didn't. For those of you that are watching, put together these slides. I don't know why the background removal didn't work. Whatever, we'll keep going. We'll blame it on AWS. That's exactly what we do. 31-14, we talked about. Last time the Panthers won in 2017, it was 9-3, and then Buffalo won back in 2013, 2009. Again, not very often that you're going to play them, the 4-year rotation. Then on top of that, if you meet in the playoffs, which is going to be the Super Bowl, and you're talking about opponents from the AFC West. So you don't meet them that often as we go through. Now, Carolina Panthers draft picks, again, for all of our Carolina fans here. You know, we pull this up each week, and it is truly impressive to me how we are now. You know, Cam Jackson settled down a little bit, so not so much Cam Jackson, at least right now, but we have seen him a little bit. But pretty much top to bottom, the production that we are getting right now out of these picks, and even going back to last year's draft class. Potetero McMillan, Nick Scorton, finally getting that sack, 1.5 sacks on the board. We know Princely's already got it. Trevor Etienne, finding his groove as a returner and the punt return. We know kick returns had a really good week last week. Special teams set him up with good field position. Lathan Ransom holding it down. On defense, it's safety, still learning his way around. We talked about Cam Jackson filling in. Mitchell Evans looks the part of a just really good blocking tight end that can catch the football when needed. And Jimmy Horn Jr., who just adds a new dynamic to the Carolina Panthers offense. Looking at the Bills, and again, guys, I don't know why this copied over the way it did, but unfortunately, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, they've had a difficult stretch here with some of their picks from this last year's draft. 3 of the players in their first-round pick and their second-round pick, and then Dorian Strong, who we looked at, is meaning we as in I in the show, way back during the draft. 3 of those guys on IR, and there's another rookie on IR as well, undrafted free agent. But Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback, on IR. TJ Sanders out of South Carolina on IR. They have Landon Jackson. We also looked at him during the draft process. Deion Walker as well. Jordan Hancock, Jackson Halls, Chase Lunt, and then Caden Prather. Your full draft class for the Buffalo Bills. Now let's talk a little bit about last week for Buffalo. It's going to be easy to talk about last week because they didn't play, so we're going to look at the 2-game summary for them. But for the Carolina Panthers, coming off of what everyone has said is an ugly win, a defensive win, whatever you want to call it, 13-6 over the winless Jets, you get the job done. 6 sacks on the day, 2 for Derek Brown, 1.5 for Nick Scorton, 2 interceptions from J.C. Horn, the end zone pick fantastic. Xavier Legette coming to life, 92 yards, 9 receptions, a touchdown. Andy Dalton having to take over. And most importantly, as we mentioned, the injury to Bryce Young. Dave Canales did talk about the injury today, and going back and watching the tape, he said, yes, it probably could have been called for tripping, but he didn't feel like it was malicious, which I agree. Like, I don't think when you watch it live that it looked like there was anything malicious by the Jets, but the Jets social media team choosing to post that video and use that to promote the sack, kind of weird. Like, whatever you want to do to get your engagement, go for it. But Carolina Panthers still finding out. So defense, getting it done. We know the pass rush hasn't been great, but you did it against a team that's terrible. And that's what you're supposed to do. Run game, the balance between Rico and Chuba rotating every series. And you don't want to get too predictable. Dave Canales talked about that, but he's also said, you got to take advantage of every snap that you can get when you're in there. Referencing the fact that, you need to treat every carry like it's your only carry, the one that you're going to get. So Carolina Panthers riding a 3-game win streak, 4-3. Everyone's hyped up. We know this is a big matchup. I've said if the Carolina Panthers can find a way to get the job done this week, that's when the hype outside is going to start. Even now, though, people still not believing in the Carolina Panthers. I listened to national ESPN radio today and heard a clip. It actually wasn't a national show, but it was a local show that played a national clip speaking on the Panthers, the Adam Gold show out of Raleigh. And it was Canty in the morning? Cannot remember all these shows, but he was essentially saying that he didn't have belief in the Panthers, which I get it. People want to see more. They're not buying into it yet. They still, even with the state of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, believe in them more. Some folks even believing in the Falcons more. I had a Falcons fan. I am active on TikTok now, and I posted a video, and he tried to tell me that the Panthers were not the second best team in the NFC South. And I said, hold on, homie. I'm going to tell you straight up. Number one, we beat you head to head. Number two, look at the actual standings. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This isn't a podcast about Falcons fans. We will get to the Falcons at another day. We already took care of business against them. Let's talk about Buffalo. Like we said, per NFL Pro, Josh Allen has never lost 3 consecutive games in the NFL as a starter. Ridiculous stat, if you tell me. They're coming off of a bye. They've also lost the last 2 games. So in week 5, really big matchup against the New England Patriots. Last second field goal, 52-yarder. Drake May kind of taking over, man. As a North Carolina fan, excited to see him having really good success out there, even if Bill Belichick doesn't, want North Carolina football to tweet about it. What a storyline around all that. We'll save that for another episode too. Then traveling to Atlanta, losing 24-14, struggling, primetime matchup. They were overwhelmed. Bijan Robinson, he went off. He really did go off in that game. And you know what? Here we go, folks. Buckle up. If the Carolina Panthers are going to have any type of success this week, it's going to be on the ground and being able to generate some of that pressure, or you hope you can continue to generate the pressure that you saw this past week. We already talked about 2 games for the Bills, 1 game for the Panthers, but just looking over the past 5 games, we know Buffalo lost 2. They beat New Orleans. So honestly, you look at this Buffalo Bills schedule, and I don't know how hyped up I am on this team on paper. And let's be honest here. New Orleans Saints, I don't know about that. Miami Dolphins, New York Jets. So 3 really bad football teams right there. So a no-win team, a 1-win team, and a 1-win team right there in front of you that they have beaten. Now you can only play who you have. AFC East, not great, but man, makes me personally just reevaluate this and say, okay, maybe this is not going to be the Buffalo. Yes, everyone stood Buffalo up in the preseason and said Buffalo this, Buffalo that, Super Bowl bound. They're going to have to make a push. Man, kind of resets the benchmark for me for what we see with Buffalo. Now, Carolina Panthers, we talked about it. 3 in a row, 4 out of the last 5. You kind of look at some of the common opponents here. Panthers were able to take care of business against the Falcons. Again, Buffalo losing to the Falcons. You compare the New England game, a big blowout. If the punt return doesn't happen, I still think it's a much closer game. That just tipped the meter, and got DJ Johnson cut off the team as well. It was just how bad everything was in that moment. But yeah, Panthers fans, we all know about Miami, Dallas, and the Jets. Would love to see if the Carolina Panthers can keep it rolling. Now, this is going to be hard for you guys to see on the screen, so I'm going to read it. We've got your headlines. The Bills' perfect post-bye streak versus the 3-game losing streak threat. So under head coach Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, the Bills are a perfect 8-0 coming off the bye. Game is a pivotal test for their resilience as they aim to avoid the first 3-game losing streak in the franchise since back in 2018. Storyline centers on whether the Bills use this week to correct their sloppy play, the penalties, the turnovers that plagued them in their 2 consecutive losses. The Bryce Young story, of course, number 2 storyline, Bryce Young, and probably number 1 if we're being honest, but the Bryce Young injury and the red rifle as the backup. Bryce Young suffered a high ankle sprain, although it's never officially been confirmed by Canales in the previous game, and as he's considered day-to-day. Everything is suggesting that veteran Andy Dalton is likely going to start. Is going to change the dynamic of the offense a little bit, but I said this like earlier this week. Andy Dalton with a week to practice, that's a positive. Andy Dalton with this running game is something that he didn't really have last year. I know he had Chuba, but he didn't have this, and he did not have all these other weapons around him. So I feel confident with Andy being able to play a game or two if needed, although the offense will be a little bit different. Bills defense has some gaps. You got to be able to run the ball. So that's where I think about where that lies. And the Panthers' defensive resurgence versus Josh Allen going through a reset. So the storyline number 3, the Panthers have been the driving force behind, and the defense, I should say, behind their 3-game winning streak. It's a lot of good play out of Derek Brown, Nick Scorton, A'Shawn Robinson, Bobby Brown, those guys in the middle, J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson making plays, Trevin Wallace, like all these guys, Christian Roseboom. This is probably the biggest test yet as you are facing, Dak Prescott, but you're facing an MVP caliber quarterback in Josh Allen, returning from the bye week, trying to get this rolling. He's going to want to come out firing. We know about the Bills, which we'll talk about being a touchdown favorite. So you have all that in the mix. Number 4, the Bills defensive reinforcements returning. So the Bills defense received a much-needed boost with the return of defensive end Michael Hope, say that right, and defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi from suspension. So there you go. Given the recent injury woes to the defensive line, including the calf injury to Daquan Jones, return of the veteran pass rushers is a significant storyline as they will immediately be needed to generate pressure and plug the run. And last storyline centers around the run game. The rise of the Panthers' ground game. Carolina's success has been fueled by a commitment to the run. We know about Rico Dowdle, what he's been able to do, and now, of course, trying to get Chuba Hubbard involved, just being able to keep Josh Allen off the field. Most important thing, because I do think you don't want him on the field too often. You really don't. Keep him off as much as you can. All right, folks, look at that. That's a beauty. NFC South standings, Tampa Bay 5-2, Atlanta lost, New Orleans lost. Give me all the losses. Panthers sitting at 4-3, 1 game back from Tampa Bay right now. In the mix. Love it. Love to see it. On the side of the AFC East, New England Patriots rolling right along at 5-2, Buffalo 4-2, Miami 1-6, New York Jets 0-7. Not good, is it? Not good at all. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. Buffalo Bills and Panthers squaring off this weekend. For the Panthers, traveling up to Green Bay next weekend, November 2nd. Have the Saints at home on November 9th. Travel to the Falcons November 16th. Then we have Monday Night Football against the 49ers. Does not get easier, folks. Falcons. Then the Niners. The Rams at home. all the way on November 30th. And then after that is the week 13, week 12, 13, 14, week 14 bye. I think this is the latest you can have a bye in the season. Now, positive news is that we've heard through today's press conference from Dave Canales that Robert Hunt, who is back at practice, not actually practicing, but potential for his practice window to be opened up at the bye week. So we'll see. He's ahead of schedule. You see where this thing goes, where the team is. So that's the most important thing. But can you imagine getting Robert Hunt back? Guys have filled in well. Like, do not get me wrong, but having Robert Hunt back in the mix potentially before the season ends to make what we'd want to say is a possibility of a playoff push. But yeah, one day at a time. Buffalo gets a little bit easier, but then it doesn't get easier. After the Panthers, they take on the Chiefs. That's a home game. I'm sure that, Buffalo comes away with a win. Either way, that's probably going to be it. It's already 4:25 slot afternoon. A lot of eyeballs there. Travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Who knows at that point what's going to be leading the Dolphins? They're a mess. They have Tampa Bay at home. Speaking like at the Bills, at the Buffalo Bills home, November 16th. Travel to the Texans and then travel to Pittsburgh. So, I mean, pretty big gauntlet there for the Buffalo Bills. So I know they would have loved to take advantage of the opportunity to try to get a win this week. All right, folks, let's switch over as we always do and take a look at the NFL Pro preview. We go through all of this, the team rankings, the injury report, and the depth chart. Then we get into our final predictions. Who knows? I don't think we're going to get this done in 30 minutes because we're right at 21, rolling on 22. But it's all right, man. We're having fun. At least I hope we are, and I hope you are listening into us right now. Let's try to make this. I don't know if this is going to help you guys. Kind of, but not really. Trying to make it a little bit easier for y'all to see from your side, but I don't know that it's gonna pick up right now. I'm trying for my side. Not like that. Yeah, that's not bad. All right, folks, let's get into it. Buffalo Bills, 27.8 points per game on the offensive side of the ball. That's fourth in the NFL. They have a plus 30-point differential, really good offense. 1-1 in close games. Panthers are 3-1. Average margin of victories, 10 points. They're actually identical, 10.8 per both. -1 turnover differential is 17th. For the Panthers, they're -2. 44 penalties, ranks 8th. Again, they didn't have a game, though, for Buffalo. And then 42 for the Panthers. 7-point favorites right now. Taking a look at the insights, and honestly, there's not a lot of insights on here this week, which is weird. I usually get more data, but maybe it comes later in the week. You to call out, I already called out the one for Josh Allen, but Rico Dowdle leads the NFL with 468 rushing yards and 569 scrimmage yards since week 5. He has 185 more rushing yards and 118 more scrimmage yards than any other player in the NFL over that span. So there you have it. Josh Allen never lost 3 consecutive regular games in his career. We talked about that. Let's get back into our preview here. Looking at some of the bigger, I might have to shrink it down a little bit so I can see it, matchups that semi-favor, a lot of them favor the Bills. So the Buffalo Bills offense, overall passing efficiency is number 9, rushing efficiency is number 2, and their pressure rate is number 3, pressure rate allowed. So really good on the offensive side of the ball. Panthers defense, passing efficiency is 20th. Pressure rate is 31st. So they barely, all those sacks helped, but still not enough. Heavily favors Buffalo. Offensive side of the ball, passing efficiency, number 26 for the Panthers. That is going to favor the Bills defense, which is number 10. This is why you're going to have to run the ball. Rushing efficiency, number 6 in the NFL. The Panthers are against number 25 for Buffalo. So it's got to be a lot of the run. Just feed Chuba. I don't care if they both get 20 carries. If we come away running the ball 40 times, throwing the ball 20, I'm totally okay with that. Pressure rate allowed, 23 for the Panthers offense, and Buffalo is 15th. Again, Carolina is going to find success with designed runs, rushing outside the tackles, and then just the overall rushing attack itself heavily favors the Panthers offense. On the side of the Buffalo Bills, again, the pressure rate, like they don't allow a lot of pressure on the offensive line. They're really good against passing against the pressure, their short passing game, and then rushing versus a stacked box. When we flip over some of the passing statistics, they have a really good passing defense. Great against long passes, deep, first play action, passing efficiency versus the blitz, intermediate passes. I mean, they're ranking about top 10 in a lot of those categories. Panthers, again, not the greatest. They are great in deep coverage, and I think a lot of that has to do with some of these deflections and interceptions that we've been able to see. Where we know the Carolina Panthers have to thrive is rushing. Rushing against the light box, under center, under shotgun, all those things are going to favor the Panthers. I mean, really, I'm not kidding when I say 35 to 40 carries between Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle is the key to success for the Panthers on Sunday. Projections for Josh Allen, 240 yards and about 2 touchdowns. James Cook, another good running back here. We've seen a lot of good running backs over the first course of the season for the Panthers in those 7 games, but he's putting up projected to put up 83 yards. I'd consider that a win if you can keep him around 75 to 80. Khalil Shakir, about projected to have 4 receptions for 50 yards. Keon Coleman, 3 for 46, and Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 43. Tight ends typically do pretty well. Right now, Andy Dalton, as the starter, projected to have 220 yards passing and a touchdown and an interception. Rico Dowdle, 62 yards. T-Mac, 4 receptions for 64. XL, 3 for 31. And JT Sanders, 2 for 25. One of the nice things about what we've seen with Bryce Young and the team itself is just being able to disperse the ball to so many people. On the side of the Carolina Panthers, and I thought this is what this would be when they said DJ Wonnum was not available today or did not participate, but it was not injury related. He was resting, which is good. Bryce Young did not participate because of the ankle. J.C. Horn was limited, partly due to rest. Damian Lewis is getting back. He was limited. And then Princely Umanmielen with a rib injury is also limited. On the side of the Bills, Daquan Jones, who we talked about, did not participate today. Josh Palmer, battling the knee and ankle, did not participate. And then Taylor Rapp did not participate as well. Everyone else is limited. So Terrell Bernard, sounds like Maxwell Harrison working his way back. Good for him. Dalton Kincaid, Matt Milano, and then Curtis Samuel. Man, I can't believe Curtis Samuel is still hanging around there. Very, very wild to see. I don't know why our stats here aren't loading. We can switch over very quickly and take a look, which we'll do it this way. Maybe not. We're not going to be able to do that. That's unfortunate. I guess we can do an abbreviated version. I was trying to get you guys the detailed stat lines, but we can do it at a high level. Josh Allen, 122 for 178, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the season. I don't know why this view is like this, but it's all right. James, yeah, this isn't honestly not going to do us that good. So I'm going to actually switch over and just pull up the individual teams because we're not, it's not really giving me what I want to see. So we're going to share the old breakdown here. All right, 61.6 completion percentage for Bryce Young. He's not going to be out there more than likely again. 1,288 yards on the season, 11 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, sacked 11 times. Rico Dowdle, 551 yards, top 5 in the NFL. Chuba Hubbard with 248, and Trevor Etienne, 76 as well. Receiving, T-Mac, 413 yards, XL, 142, Tommy Tremble, 126, Rico, 121, just Rico in the passing game as well. Chuba, 118, Bryson Tremaine, 108. His role's kind of fallen off as we've expanded. Christian Rosebloom leads the team with 50 tackles. Trayvon Merrick, 46, 1 sack. Nick Scott with 33, Trevin Wallace, 32, Mike Jackson, 28. Jarek Brown, 26 tackles, 3 sacks, 16 total sack yards, 2 tackles for loss. A'Shawn Robinson, 2 sacks, 25 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Bobby Brown, 2 tackles for loss, 12 total tackles. Nick Scorton with the 1.5. Princely Umealien 1.5 as well. We'll share the Buffalo Bills stat line as well. Get you guys squared away on them. If we can get this pulled up, we're going to try. Technology is always fun. Josh Allen, 68.5 completion percentage, 1,397 yards on the season, 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Kind of similar stat line to Bryce. James Cook has 537 yards. Again, really good back. Josh Allen has 254. You got to be able to stop him. We know what he can do with his legs. Then receiving-wise, Dalton Kincaid leading the way now with 287 yards. Only appeared in 5 games so far. Khalil Shakir, 268. Keon Coleman, 237. Joshua Palmer, 234. James Cook with 89. Defensively, Terrell Bernard, 30 tackles. Cole Bishop, 27. Christian Benford, 26. Let's take a look at the sack leaders before I start going through this. Really good production. Daquan Jones with 2. Ed Oliver with 2. Joey Bosa, 2. Cole Bishop, 2. We love to have this much sack production. AJ Epicena, Greg Rosu with both with 1.5. Matt Milano, 1. Shaq Thompson with 1 as well. Leading the charge with 7 tackles for loss. Dion Walker, Ed Oliver with 5. Tre'Davious White with 4. Terrell Bernard with 3. Interceptions, 1 for Terrell Bernard, 1 for Cole Bishop. Fumble recovery for Terrell Bernard, so all over the place, the linebacker position, and AJ Epineza. Say that one right. Hopefully we got that. All right, we got injury report. We got the stats. We got the NFL Pro preview. Let's take one quick look at the Buffalo Bills offense against the Carolina Panthers defense and vice versa. Bills coming into the game, we talked about it, but number 4 offense for points, number 3 for yards, number 4 for yards per play with 6 yards per play, number 11 in third down conversion rate, 16 in fourth down conversion rate, and red zone scoring percentage for touchdowns, 13th. They're number 4 at scoring about 3 touchdowns per game. Carolina Panthers defense, 13th in the NFL. Coming down in terms of points. Number 7 in yards per game, giving up 295, giving up 5.3 yards per play, which is 12th. So really good. On third down, though, not so great. 22 in the NFL. Same thing on fourth down. And then number 11, opponent red zone scoring defense for touchdowns. Carolina Panthers offense is 23rd in the NFL with 20.7 points per game. 326 yards per game, ranks 19th, putting up 5 yards per play. 21st in third down efficiency, 10th in fourth down efficiency. Last week helped when you converted quite a few red zone scoring touchdowns, 15th in the NFL. Buffalo's defense giving up 22 points per game is 17th. They're 15th in yards allowed. 5.7 yards per play is 25th. 24th in third down efficiency, and 14th in fourth down efficiency. The rushing attack is really what we're going to have to lead on. They're giving up 5.8 yards per rush. That's worse than the NFL. Giving up 156 yards on the ground, 31st in the NFL. So that is where the Panthers have to lead in, as the Panthers have the number 3 rushing attack in terms of yards per game and number 8 in yards per rush. Buffalo, on the other hand, also not bad at all, rushing the ball more than any team in the NFL right now, and the number 1 rushing offense. So number 1 rushing offense against a good defense, where Carolina Panthers, good rushing defense, good rushing. So a lot of things into play coming in. Of course, Buffalo, decent passing game with Josh Allen. Not decent, I should say. Pretty good passing game. We know Panthers kind of up and down for where they lie. Panthers field goal percentage, 92%. Buffalo's at 90.91%. All right, let's look at the last thing, which is the depth chart. For both of these teams, we'll take a look at Buffalo first, followed by the Carolina Panthers. If we can get it to work, maybe we won't get it to work. For some reason, it's been running a little bit slower on my side here. Let's take a look at the depth chart for the Buffalo Bills. So Joshua Palmer, Deion Dawkins, David Edwards, Connor McGovern. Your center, I should be saying the positions for you guys that are audio on here. Right guard, Osiris Torrance. Right tackle, Spencer Brown. Tight end, Dalton Kincaid. Quarterback, Josh Allen. Running back, James Cook the third. Fullback, Reggie Gilliam. Wide receiver, Khalil Shakir. Wide receiver, Keon Coleman. That's your starting lineup. They have Alec Anderson as a backup guard center, covering 3. Cedric Van Prawn Granger. I remember him, the center, way back during the draft process, like 2 years ago. Mitchell Trubisky is the backup quarterback. Defensively, defensive end Greg Rosal. I don't know if I'm saying that, so y'all give me a little slack. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, defensive tackle Joey Bosa, the end. Then your linebackers, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, who we talked about, Dorian Williams, nickel, cornerback, Teron Johnson, cornerback, Tre'Davious White, Christian Benford, Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop. Your kicker is Matt Prater, punter, Mitch Wishnowski. And, yeah, shout out log snapper Reed Ferguson. Let's move over to the Carolina Panthers, and we'll get there. Try to get their depth chart pulled up here for you guys. Terrell McMillan, Jalen Coker, 2 receivers. Oh, that's actually a new bump officially. Jalen Coker taking over for Hunter Renfrow. I think that was all, we all expected that. Hunter Renfrow was a healthy scratch. So no surprise there, but officially official. Ike Ekwonu, left tackle. Damian Lewis, left guard. Hopefully he's back. Austin Corbett listed as the backup. Cade Mays, your center. Brady Christensen, your right guard. Taylor Moton, right tackle. JT Sanders, tight end, but we know we get a good dose of Tommy Tremble, Mitchell Evans. Xavier Legette, wide receiver. Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. Andy Dalton will be the backup and potential starter. Defensively, Tershawn Wharton at the end. Ashawn Robinson, tackle. Derek Brown, defensive end. Nick Scorton listed as your starter. Outside the linebacker with the Pat Jones injury. Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom, your inside the linebackers, or your linebackers. DJ Wonnum, outside the linebacker. Mike Jackson, cornerback. J.C. Horn, cornerback. Trayvon Merrick and Nick Scott, your safeties. Trevor Etienne listed as your kick returner, punt returner. J.J. Jansen, long snapper. Sam Martin, punter. Ryan Fitzgerald, your kicker. How about that? All right, folks. We covered the pro preview. We covered the team rankings, the injury report, depth chart. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's to give our final predictions on this game. The numbers have shifted. They've shifted a little bit. Originally, the Buffalo Bills opened up pretty good favorite as far as the percentages per ESPN analytics. I like to go on there just to see what they say. Right now, giving Buffalo a 54.8% chance. The Panthers 44.9%. 7.5-point favorite per ESPN bet. Not a sponsor, just who we use to give you a quote. Okay, getting into this, everything on paper should tell me to pick the Buffalo Bills. I mean, really, I should just go out and pick the Buffalo Bills. But, folks, I'm not going to do it. You know me, man. We're going to ride this win streak one more week for me in the prediction column to see where this thing goes. Now, faith-wise, I would not be surprised no matter the outcome. I could see Andy Dalton stinking it up potentially. It's like, okay, that's why we lose. Or defensively, we're not able to put together the game we need to stop Josh Allen. There's a lot of things. But also, inversely, I could see the running game getting going. We establish it. We look like a good football team. The defense continues. So I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers this week, 24-23. If you guys are still here, wherever you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, unfortunately, I appreciate you guys, but you can't comment. But you can go out and comment and get in touch with me. Let me know your final prediction. That's going to do it for today's episode. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.